Welcome back to Ocean Stories, a podcast where we are bridging the gap between everyday ocean lovers and those who are working in, on, and around the ocean to protect it. My name is Lydia, and today we have such an exciting episode. I have been sitting on this interview for more than 6 months. If you know me, then you know I love entrepreneurial type content. I am a sucker for hearing from brand founders, talking to people with non-traditional career paths. I love daydreaming about all of the millions of business ideas that are constantly whirling around in my mind. And I wanted to create an entire season of Ocean Stories that was blue business themed, where I would talk to people that are using entrepreneurship and innovation and business solutions to protect the ocean and to push ocean conservation goals. I think it's so creative and fun to have those types of conversations and really enlightening, because I do believe we need more people entering sort of the business space side of environmental protection. So I reached out to hundreds of people, all of my favorite brands, all of the founders. And it turns out that talking to people that are running their own businesses, especially smaller, leaner, dedicated, passionate teams, they are busy people. And it was difficult to record enough episodes where I could do an entire season revolving just around the idea of blue business or business for impact. So I was like, you know what? These interviews need to come out. The people I've been talking to that are running mission-driven brands have been so incredible. And so today is our first blue business themed episode. We are talking to the founder of Planet Deep Blue, Brooke Buckman. Deep Blue is a sustainable streetwear brand committed to more than just clothing. Deep Blue stands out by intertwining fashion and streetwear with a mission, which is truly the mission of protecting the ocean, but also a mission of environmental activism. And they are also a 4Ocean partner, meaning that every purchase you make from Planet Deep Blue helps to fund cleaning plastic out of the ocean through 4Ocean's partnership program. In this episode, Brooke does an amazing job of outlining her journey from traveler, having that wanderlust, wanting to go see the world, and then from her first visit to Bali, coming face to face with the plastic pollution crisis, to then becoming an eco-conscious entrepreneur and sort of acting on the true love and appreciation she has for the ocean and turning it into a way for others to sort of wear and represent their love, but also for their purchase to mean something. It's no secret that fast fashion is a serious crisis that is impacting our oceans greatly, and I appreciate the efforts that Brooke's brand is taking to challenge the status quo. I loved how Brooke's story was a perfect example of different things happening to you in your life that sort of lead you to what you're supposed to be doing. When you think you don't know what you're supposed to be doing, but then different things sort of happen to you along your path and you realize, hey, I'm going to be brave. I'm going to take action on it. And it's not going to be easy. Running a brand or having a small business is never easy. But when you pursue that sort of calling that you have, things sometimes do randomly fall into place. Hard work is definitely a part of it. But I do think it's a beautiful thing to see the universe supporting someone's mission, which is to raise awareness about plastic pollution and to do what you can in your own way to reduce it. So stay tuned. This is an episode you don't want to miss. And if you are like me and you want to hear from more entrepreneurs and more founders, you want to talk more about the business side of the ocean solutions world, definitely let me know. Hit my line. If you love this episode, share it with a friend. As always, I'm super appreciative of you listening, and I hope this episode leaves you feeling very inspired. Hello, and welcome to Ocean Stories. We're already laughing. We're having a good time this morning. Today we're joining from 2 different time zones. I'm currently in Spain, so for me it's 8 a.m. I have no idea what time it is for you.
It's about 2 p.m. in Bali.
Welcome.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. I'm so happy to meet you. I just know that I feel the vibes going already. I know that we're going to hit it off. So this is outstanding. I'm happy to be here.
I also know very little about your background or where you're from. Where are you from?
I'm from Chicago. I grew up in a suburb outside of the city, about 30 minutes. Very normal, basic town upbringing. Not a lot going on.
Basic town. Love it.
Yeah. When I was in high school, I moved to Southern California, and then I lived by the coast and the ocean. And I've been based there ever since. But currently I'm in Bali.
Did you do high school there?
Half of it, yeah. So I moved in the middle of high school. So half Illinois high school, half California high school. very different
Was that
worlds, I'll
tough
tell
for
you that.
you? Yeah, I think that's like such a crazy switch.
It was exciting for me because I really, really loved California, and I was never a landlocked type of person. So I was super happy to be by the coast and in California, and there was a lot of new and a lot of exciting things going on. But the transition from like moving different high schools was much harder than I anticipated. Like I'm a very outgoing social person, so I figured it would just be, I'd fit right in. But I realized that it was very different in that I had a lot of comfort, where I grew up in Chicago, and that, I had to do a lot of things to go outside of my comfort zone and meet new people and, adapt to the different kind of cultural things that they had that were so different from Illinois, which I wasn't really expecting. But when I got to school, I was like, wow, people are really very different here. And it was kind of interesting. And I've always just been very adaptable to change. And I think that's why I travel a lot too, like putting myself in new environments and meeting different people from different parts of the world. But yeah, it was a little uncomfortable, but I think it was worth it. I think that when you do uncomfortable things, you grow.
Totally. Was that your first connection to the ocean then? Is that when your love for the ocean started to really grow?
It definitely started to grow then, but I can remember being very curious about the ocean from like such a young age. And now that I have all of the things that I have now in like deep blue and all the pieces put together, I look back at the things that I did when I was a kid, and I find it so interesting because I think that if you just follow your natural curiosities and your natural interests, you are kind of led into the direction, your purpose. And when I was like 7 or 8 years old, I used to sit in my room at night and study notes on YouTube videos about like moon tides and like little science nerdy things about the ocean. And I look back at that now, I'm like, why did I even do that? But I feel like some part of me was just always super curious about this avenue. And then when I was in 8th grade, I first saw the documentary A Plastic Ocean. And that's when I was like, wow, like I was blown away. If any of you have not seen the documentary, it shows you the plastic crisis that's going on in the ocean, and it shows you the severity of the problem in all the different ways, how it's affecting animals, how it's affecting, the ecosystems and everything like that. But that was really the first time I heard about how bad it was and saw visually through the documentary the issue. And since then, I remember that this has always been like one of my top passions, and I've only just dove more into that avenue, conservation topics and things like that, and just looking for ways to help and learn about the different issues and all the different categories with the ocean. But now I am an adult and I've turned this into my career. And I don't know, I find it very interesting to see as I've grown up how it's always followed me.
What was the impetus for you to start Planet Deep Blue? You moved to California. How soon after that did you decide, I need to do something about this?
Yeah, so for many years, I felt very, I guess you could say, helpless. The issue with the ocean is massive. And as an individual, you almost feel like, how can I do anything at all? Because it is insanely massive. Like, no single person could be able to have the impact to solve the entire issue. And I felt a little bit stumped for a while, and I didn't really know what to do with it. I always kind of just kept my options open. But it wasn't until actually last year when I was in Bali. I was working in digital marketing, and I was successful with my work and I did great work. However, I just felt it had no meaning, it had no depth to me. And to do something more, I got to a point where I would go to do my work and I was like, I just don't care about this at all. Like, no part of me cares deeply about digital marketing in a way that I feel like I'm doing something in the world. And I think it's really interesting because when I became an adult, I kind of put this side of me away that was interested in conservation because I never really knew how to make it a career for myself. And I thought that maybe these two parts would just be separate. This is an interest and this is my work. And when I was in Bali last year, the burnout really hit me with the work that I was doing. And when I was here, I was obviously, it's an island. You spend a lot of time on the beach near the ocean, and the impact of the community here on the ocean is like almost direct. And that's something I learned also, like being in more coastal communities, you see your direct impact to the ocean. But here, they don't have a proper waste management system. They don't have a lot of the things that we do in America. So you see the plastic crisis like with your eyes every single day. You see it on the side of the road. You see it on the beach. You see it coming out of the ocean. You see it flowing through rivers. And you also see how beautiful this island is. Like, this is one of the most beautiful islands in the world. You see the volcanoes. You see the coral reefs. You see the surrounding islands and the white beaches and the black sand beaches. And like, this is paradise on earth, but it's covered in garbage. And last year that hit me because I had dreamt of going to Bali, and it was like a movie for me. I was like, I'm living in my dream, I'm in Bali. But then I saw how much plastic and garbage there is here, and it really shattered my heart. And at that point, I realized that, this is the thing that I care the most about. And that's the direction I have to go into. Like, life is too short to do something you're not passionate about. And I think the world also needs people to just do what they're passionate about, because they'd be more effective in that industry than something they don't care as much about. So when I was here last year, there was a specific day, and I was working in the morning. I went to go to the beach because every time I go to the beach, I'm able to unwind and like release whatever happened during that day, whether it was stress, whether it was, I don't know, whatever was going on in the day. But I remember I was like, I need to go to the beach and I need to go for a walk because I need to just clear my mind. And I remember I was walking on the beach and I was like, I felt so guilty because I wasn't like insanely happy. I was walking on the beach. I'm in Bali. I have my dream, I wanted to come here. And I was like, something's not right, I'm missing something. And I just asked, I was like, somebody, guide me into what's right for me. Like, what am I missing? When you just don't know what that thing is, something is missing. So I was walking on the beach, and as I'm walking on the beach, I think it was a day after a storm, because when it storms here, you really see the garbage pull up because of like the water moving around and water running off of the roads and the rivers here. So once you go to the beach after a storm, you can really see all the garbage. I was walking further down the beach and I ran into the cleanup team from 4Ocean. And I saw this whole crew of guys walking out onto the beach to do their cleanup. And I was like, this is a kind of a full circle moment for me. It's drawing me back to what I've always been passionate about and interested in the first place. And leaving the beach that day, I knew that I was going to make a change. I didn't know that it was going to turn into deep blue, but I knew for a fact that at that moment I was going in a different direction, and into the direction of being able to contribute to this cause. And then a few months later, it kind of formed into Deep Blue. I went back to the United States to just go home and focus and work, and Deep Blue was born.
What a story. I mean, I love it. It's like all of your passions, it's divine intervention. It's like pushing you on the right path. I just love it.
Yeah.
You're so well spoken too.
Miraculous story.
I was just taken away to I felt like I was there. Like, I literally got lost in the story.
Yeah, it really impacted me, and I'm glad to hear that it impacts you as well. But it's quite interesting. And now with the brand, every single order pulls a pound of plastic from the ocean, and 4Ocean is the company that we work with to remove the plastic. So it's really a very full circle story and moment for me to be able to do that.
I think there are so many relatable parts of your story. There are so many people that really want to make a difference but feel lost in terms of how to do that when we have to make money. And it can feel really confusing how to be financially stable while also making an impact. So I love that you've carved out your own path in doing this. And now you run Planet Deep Blue, which is your brand, full time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is totally amazing. I want to know from the beginning how you got it started and how you got it to where it is today. What was it like in those beginning days?
Oh, yeah. See, I think what you just said, actually, it kind of pulls into why I created Deep Blue as a clothing brand, because my issue was that I felt singled out, like as an individual. I felt like I wasn't able to make an impact. And I think that is the issue. I think that millions and billions of people around the world feel insignificant in the ability to impact the planet in a positive way, and in a negative way, where there's always that, like, it's only one bottle, it's only one, enter blank destructive product or piece of garbage, and with that accumulation, of people feeling insignificant and not impactful, it creates a either really great positive or negative impact. So I felt that way. You know, I was like, I can't just recycle for the rest of my life and hope that it goes away. And then I really just visited those feelings and those what I wished, and realized that, you know, there's a ton of people out there that have the same exact issue. So if I could create a solution to this issue, we can all connect and create the solution. So I started out basically just making videos about conservation topics just to spread some information, because I wasn't positive on how I was going to form this as a company. And I knew that there was a lot of information out there that I was super passionate about that I wish that everybody knew, because there's a lot of different topics in ocean conservation that can feel like everybody should know this. This is an insane fact. This is an insane statistic, but not a lot of people are really super aware of it. So I just started pushing out content, and in that I learned a lot. I learned a lot about how the general public perceives this issue, how the general public like feels about this personally, how they kind of like how they feel about their impact in this issue, and a lot about how they feel insignificant. And I kept seeing that over and over again in the comments section and the responses to some of the content. They felt like they could have no impact. And then it kind of rang true to me. I was like, everybody feels like they are not able to make a change. So I continued to look at how I wanted to form this into a way for this to be my career and switch out of, you know, what I was doing previously. And a personal issue that I had a lot in this category of sustainability was that I could hardly shop anywhere that wasn't fast fashion and that wasn't some item made of a synthetic fabric that would in turn contribute to plastic production or end up in a landfill somewhere. Then I went back to, you know, some of my previous curiosities. This is what I always go to when I feel like I don't have any direction. I just go back to what am I curious about? And when I was in Bali last year in that whole journey of trying to figure out, you know, what my path would be, I made this list of things that I'm curious about. And I decided that I'm going to do everything on this list to see if something sparks in me. One of those things was starting a clothing brand, and another one was scuba diving. And I ended up loving both of them. So I turned, you know, those curiosities into my own version of a sustainable clothing brand, and it turned into Deep Blue. So I put my thoughts together, and I wanted to create a solution for people that kind of replaces the issue. A huge issue with pollution around the world is consumerism and consumption, and the amount at which we consume that we cannot keep up with on the other end, because, you know, plastic will live for up to 400 years. So we cannot keep up with that at a sustainable rate. So I decided that what if I created an option for people to consume in an alternative way that positively impacted the planet as opposed to a negative impact like the way that we are currently consuming is having. And then I put all those curiosities, I put all of those interests together, and I just hoped that it worked, and it seemed to work pretty well. And then there was a huge process of, once I did create the product, you know, just marketing and marketing and marketing and marketing and reaching the people that feel the same way as I do.
How did you market the brand when it was brand new, when you just started out?
Social media. I treated it like my full-time job. All I did was post on social media: TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube Shorts. And in my mind, it was an option for this not to succeed. I truly had the mindset of, you know, like, this will work. I just have to do it enough times. And just have to make enough videos. I just have to reach enough people. And I think that that's true for anything in life. If you really have consistency and you have an all or nothing mindset, you can have anything.
When you first started, was it all self-funded? Did you seek investments? How did you get it off the ground?
Yeah, it's all self-funded. I have yet to have a single investor in the company, and I try to keep it that way for as long as possible. Yeah. It was basically just a ground up sort of scenario. It continues to grow, you know, on a level playing field like that.
Love it. I love the upward trajectory motion. That's what we like to see. And I think it's really beautiful, the online community that you've built. I always think about how in the sustainability world, we don't use social media for the research tool that it is. It's so valuable, the things that people comment, because it tells us what people are thinking about a certain topic because it's the raw thoughts. It's like a free survey. So I love that you mentioned that you captured what they were saying in your comment section and used it to sort of fuel the marketing efforts for your brand.
Yes, everything. I take consumer feedback very seriously. Anytime I get a review, anytime I get an email, anytime I get a comment, anytime I see a repost of anything, I read every single one, I read every single DM, and I take all of that feedback to improve what I'm doing and to hear what people want and what's in demand, what's working, what's not, and continuously improve all categories of the business to be perfect for the consumers, because that's really what matters in the end of the day. Is if I want to be able to make a really big difference in this category of fashion and sustainability, I have to make it convenient. And I think that's one of the biggest things that I hear is like, people say the most sustainable way to shop would be to thrift and to, where would you have and recycle and things like that. And I agree that those things are a really great way to, contribute to that recycling economy. However, there's a huge majority of the population that is just not going to do that and is going to opt in for convenience. So what I wanted to do with Deep Blue was be able to reach the majorities. The majority is that people are really used to convenience and they enjoy the comfort of being able to shop. However, their methods of shopping aren't always the most sustainable. So if I could create an easy alternative for people through Deep Blue, it would be more impactful than trying to convince people otherwise that, nobody is going to stop consuming. You could never tell the entire United States of America to halt consumption, because we're so accustomed to it and it's become part of our culture. So I decided that we should create an alternative, more positive way so that when you do consume, it's sustainable and it's also contributing to a cause to reduce the issue in the first place.
With thrifting, there's also an access issue. Not everybody has access. There will always be, at least for the short term in our society, a need for new products, or at least a demand for new products. That's the current society that we live in. So to build a model that makes the new more circular, longer lasting, more durable. You mentioned not using any synthetic fabrics, not using any fabrics that have polyester, viscose, rayon, all of those things. That's a great solution in the short term, at least how I see it, until we can create a world where fabrics, until someone invents a new fabric that, is indestructible or something. On that note, how do you pick the colors and the next designs and the next products for the brand?
Yeah, so it's kind of fun for me because really this just started out as I'm going to create something that I would wear and see if other people will wear it too. So for me, I really just look at something I would truly wear. And I am more like of a minimalist dresser and I like neutrals, nothing like super crazy colors. We do have this new blue hoodie, but it's not outrageously colorful. As far as designs, the original hoodie, just the deep blue with the patch and everything like that, I had a dream 4 years ago and I just saw a hoodie. And this hoodie was like covered in all of these patches and it was a sustainable piece and it was a vessel for people to do good in the world. So when a person buys the hoodie just gives back to these other causes. And I had this dream and it was really interesting to me because I was like, this is a really cool concept, but I was like, I have absolutely no idea how I'd implement this at the moment. So I saved it for later. And then now it has formed into Deep Blue. And that was the original design that I saw in my dream for the Deep Blue hoodie. And with the patch and everything.
And it's gone pretty well. People seem to like it, I think, right?
Oh yeah, people are loving it. I think that, maybe more people like color than I do, but that's another thing. I take a lot of feedback from my audience and ask them, what do you want to see? I will create what you want because I can only create, my own closet for how long until I need to give it to some more people. So I'm always looking for people to give me some input. People always send me DMs on what they want to see. Different types of shirts and hoodies and colors and bikinis, all of the sorts. So I take a lot of feedback from people.
Well, I think it's a valuable takeaway what you said about creating something that you would like. With any product, it's like, would you buy it? Would you buy it at that price? Yeah. And would you support this mission? Does this marketing speak to you? I'm always thinking about things like that because I think, well, if I don't like it and I'm my ideal consumer, I'm who I know best. So I would create something that I know that I would truly like. And it can be difficult because, like you said, not everyone is me. So it's a balance.
Yeah. But there are a lot of people out there that are very similar to you. And that's something that I have learned through this process is, we're all very similar. And that was kind of a new awareness to me while building Deep Blue and seeing how many people out there really care as much as I do and want to do the same things as I do. Because in the beginning, I really didn't know if it would work. I wanted it to work, but I wasn't sure if there were enough people out there who would care as much as I did, because I saw, that how things are going in the world and the issue that we have with the ocean. And I was like, well, if there were enough people out there that cared, would we really be at this stage? But after creating this, I get overpouring messages of like love and gratitude for what I've created every single day. And I'm like, it just warms my heart to know that there's so many people out there who care so much. And that's been an amazing part of the process as well.
That's so beautiful. So every time that someone buys a hoodie from Planet Deep Blue, a certain amount of plastic is pulled out of the ocean.
Yes.
Or from the beach. How did you go about coordinating that element?
Yeah, so I've always looking for different ways that I could be able to give back with Deep Blue, because that is really the purpose behind the entire brand. So Ocean has been a brand that I have been following for quite some time now, and I've always been super inspired by the work that they do. So one day I went to their website and found that you can partner with them as a brand to join your brand with their mission. I chose For Ocean in particular because I feel that that is one of the causes that I am most passionate about. And I think that this should be the future of how brands function, because it's more sustainable this way. If every single company had a purpose and a cause that it gave back to, our consumption could turn into a positive thing, as opposed to just like creating a bunch of waste. But say if every single company had a different cause, this brand cleans the ocean, this brand plants trees, this brand gives back to, different sort of like political or social issues. Then we turn into a more circular economy where every time that you shop, you are contributing to some kind of cause. And I really just am fascinated by that idea that if we could move into that kind of consumption, like consuming more positively, we could have a more balanced society.
I just couldn't agree more. I think that's so well articulated. I'm also fascinated by that. I also find that so interesting, and that's why I love talking to you and similar people that are actually working to make this happen, because it is the new wave, and I think bigger companies are obviously catching on, which is why they're trying to sort of appropriate like natural greenwashing, that type of stuff, sustainability, into their own branding. But that's a whole other podcast. How long has Planet Deep Blue been around at this point?
I officially launched the clothing February 1st of this year.
So it's a baby.
It's a baby. We're just in the beginning.
Wow, so what has been like the most enjoyable part of running it, and what has been the most challenging part so far?
There are a lot of really enjoyable parts, and that's what I love about it. Is I wake up every single day fired up with new ideas and just so excited to pour more into it and create more. And I've really just built it so that I can just create whatever I want and turn it into whatever I want. And that's the most fulfilling thing, to be able to wake up and just do what you want to do every single day. I would say the most personal enjoyment that I get is from, I think, being able to see the impact and seeing the impact that it has on people. And whenever I get a message from somebody saying that it has inspired them, or that they want to create something similar, or that they've been happy to give back to this cause because it's something that they care just as equally about, and lets me know, that I've done my job. And to also see, we have a couple of students here in Bali that am able to sponsor their education through Deep Blue.
I don't think any brand can go out and solve every single issue and be completely perfect, but I find it really admirable that something that only went live in February is pursuing these different solutions and exploring different options for how can we give back to the community that inspired you in the first place to begin the brand, or how can we make something that is going to have a positive impact That's really difficult for a lot of small brands. So I find it impressive that this small brand has been able to achieve that so early on.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's been my major focus. That has been the number one thing that I wanted to achieve with the brand, so I have put that first before many other things. And I think that's also why it's kind of at where it is so soon, because I think a lot of people really resonate with it and really enjoy the fact that they can be able to help out through their consumption. That was the goal in the first place. So that does bring me a lot of fulfillment to know that, the work that I do every day is really helping people.
Since you've only just begun, I'm really curious what you see as the future of the brand. What do you think your biggest obstacles will be? And where do you want it to go? Like, what's your dream scenarios?
I've had to learn so much about every single category of this business over the past, I think, 6 months now. It's been going. And it's been a learning process the entire time. Every single day, I learn something new and I face a new challenge that I have to overcome and learn. So it has made me much stronger. It has made me much more intelligent and capable. However, it hasn't been super easy. I have to wake up every single day and just I don't really give myself an option to not do anything. It's not really a choice in my mind. I just get up and I do it because this is how I have primed myself, having that discipline. Because, I can wake up one day and be super enthused about it, and then another day dread it, have anxiety about it, something not going the way that I expected it to, and being disappointed in something and disappointed in something about myself. But I just have made this commitment to myself and to the brand that I will wake up and I will do it every single day and get over whatever hurdle is there. Some of the major hurdles, I think, just being new at everything. Once you're new at everything all at the same time, it can feel like a mountain is in front of you, but it kind of gives you fresh eyes on things. So I don't think it's the hugest disadvantage in the world, but being a noob at every category of the business is very difficult.
I'm really excited to see what will happen to the brand in the future. I want to have you on in 3 years and see what has happened, because I can only imagine the growth and the new endeavors.
Yeah, it's grown very, very quick, which has been super fun for me. Every single day, I feel like I wake up and something new is happening, and I like to keep it that way. I love change, and I am kind of a hyperactive person, and I think that's probably why it's gone at the rate it's going, and I hope that it continues to go as great it has gone so far.
What's your favorite ocean story or ocean memory?
When I was in Bali last year, I was snorkeling off of Nusa Penida, which is an island that is near the coast of Bali. And I had been snorkeling previously. This was before I went scuba diving. I've never done it as legit as it is here. So we were on this boat that was just right off the edge of the island, and the water was super choppy. The island was beautiful. You could see it in the distance. It was perfect little white sandy beach, and the water was teal, and the water was crazy choppy though. And we were just up on this boat, but you couldn't really see through because it was a little deep there. And they were throwing out, snorkels for everybody. And I didn't have super high expectations. I was just oh, this is going to be cool. We're going to go in. I had no idea really what I was getting into. So then I jump off the boat with everybody and I put my goggles on and I look underwater, and I was just oh my God, this is insane. It was so beautiful. And I had no idea that I was really going to be literally hopping right into that. And once I saw that with my own eyes, you see pictures online, you see videos, it does not even compare to how beautiful these coral reefs are, with your own eyes when you're immersed in it. It is I don't even have words to describe it. And when you're underwater, you there's no noise, there's no people. I mean, I was with people, but we're the outsiders, and it's just super calm and still. And there were all of these schools of fish, these beautiful coral reefs, and this moment when I saw this massive sea turtle dive in and up to the air for water. Gosh, he dove up for air, not for water.
I get you.
But I was honestly it took my breath away when I saw that, because I had no idea how I would feel it so deeply. It was more just this rush of emotion when I saw everything. I came out of the water and I was just thrilled, and I was filled with energy, and I just couldn't believe my eyes. And I felt alive. You know, I always chase those moments where you feel so alive. And for me, it's always been when I'm immersed in like the most epic nature. But that moment in particular, after leaving that day, I felt like so enthusiastic about life and so like energized and just in awe of the world around me. And I think that's how you live your life. You know, you want to be like, you want to feel like that every single day. So that contributed to me discovering that this is the direction that I should go into, but it's also my favorite ocean story.
And what a beautiful ocean story that is. I think it just never gets old, does it? Like every time that I go in the ocean, I feel that sort of energy and that sort of inspiration to a certain extent. And just for me, it never gets old.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people who live near the coast feel that way. Surfers feel that way, divers feel that way. And that is something that I found super interesting. Being from Chicago and then living in a coastal community, kind of I had a different perspective on nature than some of the people that were like native to SoCal. And they just have like a natural respect for the ocean and natural respect for the nature. Even the environment or even the society like in SoCal is a little bit more eco-friendly naturally due to the fact that it's so close to the beach. But being from Chicago, that's not really on people's minds. You know, it's not really something that people consider. They also don't consider that you have a direct connection to the ocean and that your actions impact the ocean. So that's why I've learned, like living in coastal areas, you really see firsthand your impact on the ocean, but you also see, you know, how the ocean impacts you and how it improves you every single day, like going for a walk near the beach, whether you swim, whether you surf, you know, whether you're a diver. I think being in that environment, it gives you a whole different level of respect and understanding and appreciation for the ocean. And that's something that I strive to do with Deep Blue, is to inspire people to care about it and to show them how beautiful it is. And then with that inspiration, give them the motivation to protect it.
So well said. I think that there is a ton that people can learn from your journey and from everything that you've said, from following your curiosities to find your path, which is really beautiful, to also connecting people to ocean conservation, which can be kind of a difficult thing to do. So I'm really grateful that you've come on and that you've shared your story. Thank you for joining. I can't wait to see what happens with Planet Deep Blue. I'll be following. And if anybody wants to check out the brand, obviously I'm going to link it in the show notes, but you can also find it on Instagram pretty easily. It's quite a recognizable name, Planet Deep Blue.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's been such a pleasure. I'm so happy to find somebody who shares this passion with me and to sit and chat about it for a little bit.
Woo! Thanks for listening to another episode of Ocean Stories. Don't forget to follow our social media channels for extra content behind the scenes and to connect with our guests. If you like this episode, please leave a review and let us know what you think. See you soon for more Ocean Stories.